Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 330 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by some very special guests on tonight's episode of the program. We have the wonderful Chance Kubesh joining for the first time on the show, as well as Discord favorite Marth. Welcome to both of you. How are you guys doing?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doing all
Very
right.
happy to be here.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. We have both of you on today because we are going to be talking all about Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment. That's right. The third game in the Hyrule Warriors series of the Muso genre has finally dropped. It is a Switch 2 exclusive, and we're going to give all of our impressions. I know some of us have completed the game, or we're all at different levels of completion, so we'll be trying to do like a spoiler light or spoiler free for the most part talk on the game, talking about the gameplay, what we think, and also whether or not you should pick up the game. On top of that, there's lots of news to get through this week. Nintendo had their latest financial briefing, as they are wont to do pretty much 4 times a year. We'll be going through the metric ton of news that came out of that. The Legend of Zelda movie is now in production. And talking about movies, there's going to be a Mario Galaxy movie direct that just dropped, at least the announcement of it. We're going to be talking all about that and some potential leaks from that movie as well. But before we get into all that, how are you guys doing? Do you guys have a good week? How are you doing, Chance? You been having a good week this past week?
Just had another weekend working and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk about fun game stuff. I put in about 26 hours for Age of Imprisonment so far. So
Pretty good
not
amount.
done yet, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, very good, very good. What about you, Marth? You been having a good week?
I've been having a great week playing it. I've been doing pretty much nothing but playing Age of Imprisonment when I don't have work. So it's been a good week.
Nice. Yeah, I've been doing all right myself. I've been mostly pretty much engrossed in this like book I've been reading recently. I played a bit of Age of Imprisonment. I played enough of Age of Imprisonment to talk about the game. Listener, I am a good podcast host. Make sure you never forget that. But I've been mostly reading some old-fashioned books. I've been really enjoying that. Went out a couple times, but like the weather really changed over this past week. We have now officially moved straight from summer into winter here in Austin. There is no such thing as autumn, it would seem, but I think I'm having a pretty good time regardless. I've got a little bit of sniffles, so forgive me if I'm a little phlegmy sounding on this episode. But before we get into the news, I'd like to give a couple shout outs from last week's episode. We had the wonderful Parker Simmons on, the creator of Mau Mau, to talk about Nintendo's operating systems. That was a super fun episode. I really enjoyed that chat. A couple shout outs here from the YouTube. The Gotcha Tuber 4724 said, "You got a new subscriber after seeing Parker Simmons." And Saga 404 said, "I haven't been particularly keen on Nintendo, but I'm loving this video, especially with Parker Simmons here." So thanks to both of you. We'll be sure to have Parker on again if it's going to keep leading to an influx of new subscribers. Always nice to see, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy the episodes. Over on Discord, Cool Uncle Vince said that it was low-key hilarious that we bemoaned the lack of a play activity log, and then it showed up that very week. Just more proof in the pudding that Nintendo listens to every episode of Super Switch Headz and acts accordingly. We had some pretty good times in the Discord posting our play activity, especially in the Animal Crossing channel, kind of looking back at that few weeks of total insanity when we were playing Animal Crossing like it was a full-time job during the pandemic. Were you playing that at the time, Chance?
I was not. I have never played an Animal Crossing in my whole life.
Hell yeah. Keep at it. I was going to say either keep at it or put in 1,000 hours whenever the Switch 2 edition drops in January. Time will certainly tell.
I put that time in Tears of the Kingdom. So
yeah, exactly. Right. Well, if you too would like to be shouted out, listener, we would love to do so. Drop us a line over on social media or leave a comment on the YouTube version of our podcast. Like and subscribe while you're over there as well. Or join our Discord and we'll be sure to shout you out. If you have anything to say about this week's episode, we would love to shout you out. So join us over there. Please also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you could, or on Spotify. Both of those are very helpful for the growth of the show. But above all else, just tell a friend about the show. Word of mouth goes a really long way. We'd love to have your patronage going forward. How's the intro going? I think I'm doing a pretty good job, all things considered.
You're a great job.
My mind is in a cloud. Okay, we're going to move on to news, ladies and gentlemen, because like I said, we've got a metric butt ton, so much that we actually had to cut a couple news topics this week. So apologies to the Pokemon Legends ZA DLC. Just know it's coming out, okay? It has a release date. That's all I'm going to say about it. We'll talk about it in a future show, I'm sure. But let's start with the Nintendo financial briefing. Ooh, we love capitalism. There basically was, the quarterly report that comes out, and there were a lot of takeaways, to be honest. I'm going to kind of go through some of these pretty quickly here, and then maybe we can break down some of these that we see as interesting to talk about. But essentially, I think the main part of this report here was that the Switch 2 is performing remarkably well. So far, it has sold over 10 million units, makes it the fastest selling games console to date. Nintendo has essentially said that Switch 2 is now the new standard and that development going forward will be focused on Switch 2. Now, we do know that there are a couple Switch 1 games still on their way, that being Tomodachi Life and the new Rhythm Heaven game. But there hasn't been any like Switch 1 exclusive games that have been announced. I would be surprised if we see any more, to be honest. But I don't know. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I'd like to kind of get y'all's opinions on that here in a second. Looks like the total number of Switch sales, this is the Switch 1, has now hit 154.01 million, which is insane. That puts it just like 10,000 units below the DS. And this was as of September 30th, I think. So by this point, surely it has outsold the Nintendo DS. It does still have quite a bit of a hill to climb in order to get to the PS2, which sits at over 160 million right now. I'd actually maybe like to get y'all's thoughts on that, because for a really long time, I really thought that it was in the bag that Nintendo Switch would be the highest selling console of all time. But now with Nintendo saying like, oh, we're going to be focusing a lot more on Switch 2 sales and games going forward. Do you think that like 6 million more units of the Switch 1 can be sold? What do you think, Marth? Do you have any opinions on that?
I don't think so. I think it's not really a 3DS situation where there's a lot of worth to having both the 3DS and the Switch.
Right.
I feel like most people who want to get a Switch are probably just going to go for a Switch 2 instead.
Right.
I'm also surprised that the Switch 2 has been selling so well, considering how everyone was complaining about it when it came out.
It kind of shows that there isn't much clout to a lot of the angry internet people. Yeah. What about you, Chance? What do you think about that?
I think you could probably get close, but I don't know if it's going to reach that.
Yeah.
It may as well just why would you spend that much for Switch 1 when you could just save up a little bit more to get Switch 2 at that point? So.
Right.
And then you could still play Switch 1 games. So it's
yeah, absolutely.
Just, unless they're after a certain collector's edition one or something, then go for a Switch 1 or something.
Right. I think there's a very good chance that in 10 years, after the Switch 2 has even run its course, Nintendo will finally sell the last little bit of their stock and it'll eke its way over the finish line and hit that 160 million mark. Because I know the PS2, I think it was something like 40 million units of the PS2 sold after the PS3 came out. So I know it's a different time, and that had extenuating circumstances.
That's
I know
true.
the PS2 did really well in countries like Brazil, long after, because Brazil kind of historically gets console releases late. I don't think that's the case anymore, but that had been for a while. But I always thought it was in the bag, but now I'm not so sure. A couple other things from this financial briefing that are interesting. They dropped some numbers here: 128 million annual players, which is nuts. 400 million Nintendo accounts, 34 million Nintendo Switch Online subscribers, which is crazy to think about, just the amount of just monthly revenue they're getting or I guess yearly revenue is kind of how most people pay for the NSO there. But that is a lot, right? Just from this subscription that's allowing people to play online, get all the Nintendo Classics games. I'm sure that's also including people that are in family plans, so it's kind of hard to exactly say what that number is. I know I'm in a family plan with like 8 people. In fact, I haven't collected on that in like 3 years. So sorry to all the kids in my Nintendo family plan that are going to have to pony up $30 for 3 years of uncollected stuff. I'll hit you guys up, I promise. But that's a lot of passive income there. Seems that 9 out of 10 people with a Switch 2 also have Mario Kart World. So I think that was about 9 million copies sold of Mario Kart World, which is just nuts for a game that came out in June. Obviously makes sense with it being a bunch of bundles. Donkey Kong Bonanza has sold, I think it says here 2.6 million copies, but I actually think it might be a little bit more than that. Unique downloads for Nintendo apps have gone over 950 million. I don't even know what some of these numbers mean. Over 500,000 people have been to the Nintendo Museum so far. That's an interesting one. I really hope that they change their mind and move that out of Kyoto. But what do you think about that, Marth? Like, does it frustrate you that there's only one Nintendo Museum and it's in the middle of nowhere in Kyoto?
Well, a little bit. I think it'd be fun if it's not like I live in the middle of nowhere anyways, so it's not like I would have an easy time getting to it no matter where it was.
Right.
But among the numbers you just mentioned, I think the one that really stuck out to me was DK Bonanza because I thought it would be higher. I think a lot of people really saw that game as like the sequel to Odyssey in a way. And I'm really just surprised it didn't sell more considering how everyone has Mario Kart World, which of course came with most Switch bundles, so that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I do have a correction. I think the number sold in the report was 3.49 million units.
So that makes a little bit more sense.
It makes a little bit more sense, but yeah, like you said, I mean, think about the number of Switches that are out there right now. I guess that, that's about 1 in 3, or a little bit less that own the game. That's pretty good numbers, but it is kind of like the early days where it's like there aren't that many Switch 2 exclusives, right?
It really felt like the game at the time that everyone was getting.
Yeah, I love the game. I really hope that it continues to grow. And Bonanza is one of those evergreen titles because I love the Donkey Kong franchise. And I really just hope to see it grow considerably. Is there anything else from any of these kind of data points here that are interesting to you, Chance? Did anything kind of jump out to you about any of this?
I'm not surprised by any of the numbers, to be honest. Although I am surprised that like overall how many units was sold for like, the Switch 2, but as for like, I thought like game numbers would be higher. I'm not surprised just because of financial issues that people as a whole are having. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I think my main concern with when people talk about the Switch 2 is like the fastest selling system of all time. It's like, yeah, but also like all these other systems that sold way less in this amount of time, like sold out. Like how fast selling would the PS5 had been if they even made 10 million units in its first 2 or 3 months on the market, right? So it's like, I don't know exactly. I think Nintendo is adjusting a lot of their forecasts to be like, okay, we're going to be selling 15 million by the end of the year. Like, which if they could do it, that's great, and I'm glad that they've been able to be optimistic about that. But I do wonder if it's just like them making a shit ton of units is kind of skewing the data. Like I wonder about the long-term sales, especially in relation to the original Switch's sales, right? But it's interesting stuff to think about. Either way, Nintendo's doing great. I'm really happy to hear that they're going to be moving most of their focus over to Switch 2 because I think that we've been doing a lot of those like kind of multi-generational straddlings for a while, right?
Me too. I think we're going to see just playing, don't want to talk about it yet, but just playing Age of Imprisonment really showed me that the Switch 2 is capable of doing what the Switch 1 was able to do without all of the drawbacks, which I think is very good.
Yeah.
Oh, and I want to see more of that.
Imagine if there was a Switch 1 port of Age of Imprisonment. That game would be a slideshow. That'd be a 15 frame per second.
It'd be pretty bad.
Either way, it feels really good to play that game on the Switch 2. Spoiler alert. Yes. I did have one more thing that was pretty big from the financial briefing, and that was that Miyamoto talked about the ongoing release of movies in the future. So they basically said that, upcoming, they have their Mario Galaxy movie, obviously, and the live action Zelda movie. We're about to talk about both of those, but they do have more movies planned as well. One of which was the kind of rumored Donkey Kong movie that allegedly will be coming out, some sort of spin-off from the Mario movies. I would imagine that would also be from Illumination. It'd be a little strange if they did a live action Donkey Kong movie, but it does leave
novel.
Yeah, it'd be kind of yeah. It's like Seth Rogen just like in a gorilla suit. But I'm interested to see what additional movies they have. We've kind of done a whole episode on what movies we think Nintendo could do, but I think we should talk about some of these because something that was just announced the day we're recording this, which is Monday, November 10th, is Super Mario Galaxy movie is getting a direct, and that will be coming out on the day that this podcast is released. So by the time you are listening to this episode, the direct is already out. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it right now. I'm assuming this is going to be a new trailer for the movie. Pretty cool that Nintendo can turn these sort of like movie trailer drops into full direct events. I think it's working out really well for them, this kind of multimedia strategy of making movies. I'm pretty excited for this. Something that's kind of funny is that the Yoshi design from this movie has already been leaked. It was leaked on some Pillsbury dough. It was like a box for like some, I guess, cookie dough or something in the shape of a Yoshi egg that had the new Yoshi design on it, which is funny. And I believe it because I think also like the title was leaked on like some soap or maybe it was deodorant or something like that. So all the product placement has been real so far and has actually been true. But do you guys want to do any kind of like last minute like predictions for what we'll see in this trailer? What do you guys think the story is? Are you excited for the Mario Galaxy movie?
I personally am very excited because I grew up on Galaxy.
Yeah.
And, like from the Wii era. I still have not watched the Mario movie because I keep putting it off because there are no movie theaters nearby because I live in the middle of nowhere again. But I should probably go back and watch it so that I can really enjoy the Galaxy movie. With that said, I don't think I understand the point of a direct for a movie unless it's much, much shorter than a normal direct. I don't know what they can talk about without just defying the point of having the movie in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know if they said how long it's going to be. Maybe we'll get like another kind of slideshow of the cast or something like that.
Maybe.
Talk about some of the new actors that will be playing the new characters in the movie. Maybe they'll reveal like, oh, Wario is in this one, or like Waluigi's in this one, or something like that. I think that could be kind of cool. But Chance, we were coworkers. We've both worked on video game adaptations. We worked together on Castlevania. The second week in a row, we've had animators on the podcast. Always nice to have. Well, you have any thoughts on the Mario Galaxy movie? Are you excited for this thing?
Actually, I haven't even seen the first movie yet.
Let's go.
I'm too fucking busy. Like I'm, working all the fucking time.
You're just drawing horses all the time.
Yes. God, I wish. No. Like I've been meaning to watch it sometime soon, but I've never played like Super Mario Galaxy or anything like that. Honestly, like the only Mario game that I really care about is Thousand Year Door. It's a Paper Mario.
Right.
And because I loved that game and everything, and it really grubba to make the jump to like a movie or something at some day.
Hell yeah!
And they got to get like Aaron Hansen to voice him or something.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I think it's cool that we're getting like different styles of movies from Nintendo right now. You know what I mean? Like I think it's kind of cool that like the Zelda movie is going to be live action. I wish it was animated and I wish it was 2D or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be as live action as a Apes movie, right? But
it's going to be motion capture. It's going to be like 90% no motion capture.
Yeah, probably. At least for the Gorons. It's like Link dies at the beginning and it's just Gorons for the rest of the movie. That'd be pretty cool. But it's like, like for instance, people are comparing like this new Nintendo cinematic universe or whatever, which that's not what it is. That's not what they've said it's going to be, but to like Marvel, right? But I think the big difference there is like, Marvel all the Marvel movies are like Disney, and this right now, you've got one through Universal with the animated Mario, the live action Zelda is through Sony. So it's like Nintendo is kind of trying to avoid that hole of like having everything beat you samey or whatever. So, even the first movie I liked a lot. I'd like to see a little bit more like original story, I think, in this second Mario movie. Maybe just a little bit less member berries and a little bit more like I don't know. Show off some cool space stuff. I'm like excited to see it. I don't know. I love Mario Galaxy, so I think this will be cool. But speaking of live action Zelda, we do have a little bit of an update about this. Not much to say here, but the live action Legend of Zelda movie is currently in production. They are shooting in Wellington, New Zealand right now. So they are going the Lord of the Rings route, and they are trying to capture, it seems, the Middle-earth-esque setting of New Zealand. I don't know that there's, much to say here other than I'm glad to hear that they're in production. They've got a 2027 release date for the Legend of Zelda movie, so that'll give them more than enough time, hopefully, to get this thing fully shot, do all the digital effects and everything like that. But it does seem like they're going to be shooting on location and not just on green screens or whatever. Are you guys
I was
excited
going to say,
for
that
this?
sounds nice.
Yeah.
You
guys are both more Zelda fans. Chance, did you have any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it's nice that, like, it sounds like they're going to be actually shooting, like, with actual surroundings and not, just like green screening and everything, like you said.
Yeah.
Not like knocking, vis effects artists or anything like that. Just like sometimes you just need that extra immersion to when the environment is like, not tangible. It kind of like takes you out of it and stuff. I don't know.
I do think New Zealand is probably, I heard it and it made a lot of sense, I think, to shoot a Zelda movie in. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I know you called me a Zelda fan. I wouldn't say I'm not a Zelda fan, but I'm not the biggest Zelda fan. So I feel like I'm going to be happy with whatever they end up doing for the plot, whether it's an old story or a new story. I've been thinking about that a lot since someone mentioned it in the Discord. I'm really interested to see what they do with the plot itself.
Yeah, me too. I feel like this is my most anticipated trailer. It's like, what the fuck is this thing going to look like? Like I just have no idea.
Absolutely.
Because I think as soon as we see like one, or even not even like a trailer, just like a production still or something like that, it's like just seeing like what the characters look like, what kind of tunic Link is wearing. It's going to answer a lot of questions like right off the bat, because we know nothing about this other than Link and Zelda are in it and it's live action and it's shooting in New Zealand, right? So I think there's just a lot of unanswered questions about this. I look really forward to seeing what this is going to turn out to be. I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to see a Zelda movie, so I'm pretty pumped.
I hope that for like character design that they don't chicken out, because a lot of like Hollywood designs, especially for like monsters, like, man, they sure love like generic humanoid looking monsters for everything. It's like, please do not do that to Legend of Zelda, which has a lot of a fun variety of, designs across all of its games and stuff. So it's like, you cannot chicken out on it. So,
Well, we'll move on to our next bit of news, and that is that Nintendo has launched yet another app. That's right. A fifth Nintendo app has hit the towers. This is the Nintendo Store app. So I guess there's just like an official eShop sort of thing now on your phone. So that's kind of cool. You could always browse the eShop and go to the My Nintendo Store through your browser, but now it's kind of all included in an app. Kind of the main interesting thing about this, as we talked about at the beginning, was that there is now a play tracker. You can actually go all the way back to the 3DS and the Wii U, and it'll tell you your play times and your play activity for all the different games that you've been playing so far, which before was kind of locked behind the parental controls app that you could do. But, this makes, on top of the store and the parental controls app, there's also the Nintendo Switch Online app. There's My Nintendo. There is Nintendo Music. There might even be others, but those are the ones that I can think of right now. There are too many freaking Nintendo apps. They really just need to put all this into one app. But do you guys have any thoughts on this or why Nintendo keeps flooding our phones with apps these days?
Maybe they should consider just making one app for all of them instead, because my phone does look a little crazy right now with all of these red apps with white logo.
Yeah, it's really absurd. I don't really get what they're doing.
The store app specifically, why is that not just a part of the NSO app?
Totally. It could be a tab at the bottom, right?
Yeah, like I need to go on check the price of a game or something maybe once a month. And I just perfectly fine with doing that on my computer. I don't see why I need to, or like my browser, I don't see why I need an app for that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there were the rumors a long time ago about like the Switch being called like the Switch Attach. And I have like a kind of an idea that a lot of these were back when they were really putting an emphasis on like attaching your phone to your Switch for like a dual screen sort of setup or something like that. You have obviously the Nintendo Switch Online app has Zelda notes and all that kind of stuff for these sort of second screen activities,
which is great, by the way.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think it's fine. It's a little weird and kind of hackneyed, but I think that like overall, it's one of the better implementations I've seen of a mobile app into a video game. But it's just odd that they've been doing these so much. Maybe they're trying to work towards eventually consolidating them, but I don't know. Nintendo have killed apps before. In their investor briefing, they did talk quite a bit about the apps and how much they want to like continue into mobile, but they showed all these apps and not any of the games that actually make them money, which was interesting. They talked a lot about Nintendo today, but they didn't bring up like Fire Emblem Heroes, for instance, right? Which is kind of their big moneymaker in the mobile space right now. So we saw a leak a little bit ago on 4chan, who knows how true it was, of a Nintendo Video app, which I think would basically have like the Mario movie on it and Pikmin shorts and all the stuff that they've been doing with Nintendo Pictures. So I think the app torrent may not yet be over. Not saying that you should torrent Nintendo apps. That was not a sly nod. Just download them. They're free. Anyway, let's move on to one of the biggest things that happened this past week, and that was that Kirby Air Riders got a demo event. This was the global test ride. This happened this week and will again be happening next week, or I guess this upcoming weekend. They'll be doing more of these. I did have a chance to try out City Trial and a couple of the races against CPUs. You could only play City Trial online. You could only play the actual races against computers, which was kind of annoying. Hopefully that's different next weekend. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you been playing this at all, Marth?
I did not play it because I was too busy playing Age of Imprisonment.
Okay, gotcha.
It completely sucked me in. I have been absent from any online spaces for the past few days.
Absolutely. Well,
I did unfortunately miss it.
I know Lefty's been playing it a lot, so I figured maybe you and Lefty have been playing.
We were planning to play together, but we might do that the next test instead.
Absolutely. And Chance, this one passed you by as well?
Yeah.
Well,
it's still in Age of Imprisonment.
Yeah, no, I feel I'm glad that you guys like are less ADD than me to where you can be one track mind. I do not have that ability. But I will say I did play this a little bit, and I don't know, guys. It's kind of soured me a little on the whole idea. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it, but it's so chaotic. Like City Trial. Like it is so hard to keep track of what you're doing. And then by the end of like the 5 minutes, you do this tiny little mini game, and then it just kind of feels like the ending is kind of pointless. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I understand that that's like what City Trial has always been since the GameCube, but like I never really played Air Ride like back in the day. I never owned that game, and I played it a little bit like here and there, but I never put a ton of time into it. And so I felt a little lost playing this. I know a lot of people are really enjoying it, but I was just more than anything confused and bewildered by what was going on in the demo. It was really hard for me to like wrap my head around anything that was happening. Maybe I just am not TikTok brained enough for this game because it really seems like it is trying to get all of your attention at once. But yeah, you have something to say?
I've seen that reaction. I've seen two polar opposite reactions. It's the people who are so excited to play it because it was so good, and the people who came out of it just like they came out of the craziest party they've ever been at, like drunk, confused, passing out on the floor.
Yeah. I felt like truly discombobulated, like playing this game. Like it was kind of distressing. But I mean, look, I understand that this game has a lot of depth, and a lot of the depth is in its unlockables and the way that you replay the game. And it's like having just this one mode that you can play over and over again, like is really doing the game a disservice in some ways, you know? So I think I'm probably still going to pick up the game. I mean, at the very least, so we could talk about it on the podcast, but it's like, also, it just seems like you can already tell this is a Sakurai joint. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
like
absolutely.
He's put his whole ass into this game, and I'm really excited just to see what comes of that, right? Just to see his personality in it. So anyway, that's my like very brief impression of the Kirby Air Riders demo. We'll have to see a little bit closer to release if they do anything else to sell it. But I mean, they've already done 2-hour-long presentations, so I don't know what else they can do. Real briefly,
I've just been having fun watching videos, clips that people have been taking.
Yes.
Like, what was it? Like, I don't know the hamster's name or whatever. I just
Rick.
love seeing it like obliterate, Rick, just obliterating a bunch of Waddle Dees and stuff.
Yeah.
The Rick-filled lobbies are
It's very
spreading
good.
through the internet. They're quite funny.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I am a fan of that gerbil. And I understand it's a hamster, but gerbil is a funnier word. Okay, let's move on to our next bit of news. And this is one we'll keep pretty brief, but Metroid Prime 4 Beyond got a new trailer, and the hype is starting to grow a little bit. I think a lot of people have said that this is their best trailer yet. I do still think that Nintendo really needs to make a whole direct just for this game so they can show it off a little bit better. The advertising has not been super succinct for this game so far. But this trailer did have some cool stuff. It had an Oculus slide. Samus was coming in on the motorcycle and did the little slide. And yeah, Canada! So that's pretty cool to see. Also, it seems 2 of the amiibos have released. The Samus on the motorcycle and then just the one of Samus by herself have both released. There is still a third one still coming. That is the Silex amiibo that'll be coming out the same day as release, which is in December. And then also, it seems coverage for this game has been ongoing. So I think IGN has had the chance to play the game a good bit. I know a lot of the press outlets out there have been playing the game, and that will be coming out. The embargo for that drops, I think, the day after this episode comes out. So that'll be on the 13th. That'll be coming out. So keep your eye out for that. I'm still very excited for that game. And congratulations to everyone at Retro, by the way. Got a lot of friends that have been working on that game for a long time. So it's exciting to see.
Yeah.
Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Grand Theft Auto 6. So last week we talked a decent amount, me and Parker, about the union busting that has been happening over at Rockstar and Take-Two. I think it was 36 employees, if I'm not mistaken, were let go between the UK offices, and I think it was like 30 some odd people in the UK offices, and then 3 people from Canadian offices were let go. And that has been the source of much consternation from the games media. Now, Rockstar has officially said since then that they were let go because of leaking information, like insider industry
I'm sure
information.
that is the exact reason. I don't have much to say about the situation. It's just very frustrating to see this sort of thing happen again and again in the game industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, there was a big post, an anonymous post on, I think, the Grand Theft Auto fan forums or something like that, basically saying, yeah, I'm one of the employees here. I can tell you exactly what happened. Essentially, we were talking with labor organizers on a Discord chat. Chance, you and I know a lot about that. We unionized at our job. And and I think that they basically used the conversations happening in there, Rockstar did anyway, as proof of like, you're talking about NDA'd work stuff like outside of a work environment, right? So that's kind of, as far as I'm concerned, that's in pretty bad faith. I think that is not really something that, because what are you supposed to do? You can't really organize your union like on company time and company chats. You sort of have to do things in third-party settings, right? So I think, I don't know exactly how the labor laws work in England or the UK rather. I think this was in the Edinburgh office where there have been protests. But Yeah. Anyway, that's just a bit of a recap of what happened last week. But on top of that now, news has come out that the game has been delayed once again. So the game, which was already delayed from 2025 to May 26th, 2026, is now coming out November 19th, 2026. They didn't really give much of a reason as to why this was, other than that the game needed a little bit longer to cook. But, that post that I was talking about, said that a lot of the people that were let go here were like high-level animators, story people, riggers, people that have been at Rockstar for multiple games, for multiple generations of consoles. So you got to think that some load-bearing staff has been let go, and now like Rockstar is scrambling to put some of this back together. Do you have any thoughts on this, Chance? Just kind of the state of this game and the union busting that's been going on?
Yeah, I feel like the union busting thing is probably linked to the delay and everything that's coming out now, because like now they're probably hauling ass to replace all these people that they just fucking dropped and stuff. So I'm sick of seeing that shit.
I don't love it. And this one again, it hits kind of close to home as somebody that went through this process like pretty recently in Discord chats, because you kind of have to, like, working with labor organizers. This is kind of just like the way that it works. And I think that right now they already have the 10% of the entire employee accounted for to move the process forward for the vote, basically, to move forward with actually unionizing. So stick with it, man. Lawyer up. I mean, I'm sure you guys already have lawyers, and a lot of this can be fought, right? So this will be a very interesting thing to keep an eye on in the future.
Clap their cheeks.
Yeah. In the meantime, all the people that had holiday releases for 2026 planned are now, their buttholes are puckering because GTA 6, which is surely going to be one of the highest selling games of all time, has moved into that area. But we'll keep an eye on this bit of news. Not great news for right now, but we'll move on. And that last bit here is that Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment has released. And right now, these scores are looking pretty good. It's got about a 79 Metacritic, pretty similar to what Age of Calamity got. I think that got a 78. Not a ton to say here. I do want to save a lot of this for the main topic, but it does seem that reviews have been pretty solid so far. I think people have been, discussing whether or not they like the story, which we will certainly get into. But I think whether you like the story or whether you like the gameplay, it seems like most people have something that they like about this game. And it is exciting that this is a Switch 2 exclusive. I am interested to see what the sales will be like. But I think with all that out of the way, we're going to move into our main topic, which is going to be jumping into Age of Imprisonment in totality, talking about our impressions, and we'll be getting into all of that after this break. We are back here with Chance and Marth to talk all about Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment, the newest Musou game from AAA Studios, I believe they're called now. The developers of this game, published by Nintendo, obviously, takes place within the Tears of the Kingdom timeline. It seems like this game is sort of a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern sort of situation where it's like, as Link was doing his whole thing, we cut back to the past where Zelda goes at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom, and we follow the timeline from there. I've been playing this game a little bit. Admittedly, I have only been playing a few hours, so you guys have a lot more gameplay on me for this game. But that's why I have you guys here to talk all about this game. As we're going through this, we'll be talking a little bit about different categories, gameplay, character, story, and whatnot. But at the beginning here, maybe we can just give our overall quick impressions on the game. Marth, let's start with you. How have you been enjoying Age of Imprisonment so far?
Where to begin? When I first played Tears of the Kingdom, I was a little unhappy with the plot. I really liked what Breath of the Wild did, where it put you in a Hyrule where things were very different and it's clear something had happened that you don't know what it was yet. But going through the memories, you get to figure out Link's past and what happened and how to fix it. And it's great. It's a very natural way of telling that story. I feel like Tears of the Kingdom wanted to do the same thing, but kind of failed. The cutscenes you get of the past feels like they had to be watched in order to really tell their story well. And even then, they were too short. There were not enough of them, and the stories felt very distanced from each other.
Interesting.
This game completely solves that issue for me.
Oh, really?
It is
very cool.
Really great to actually see Zelda's side of the story, see what she went through while Link was busy doing his usual thing in Hyrule, in present-day Hyrule. So I really like this game. I've been having a ton of fun playing it. It looks great. It runs great. It's just a good game.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong. I know before we recorded and when I was booking you on the show, you had told me that you're not as big of a Zelda fan as you are like a Musou fan. Like you are like a big fan of the Warriors franchise in general. Is that correct?
Yes. Funnily enough, I think I've played one mainline game, and it was the first one, and I did not like it. I've only played the Fire Emblem and Zelda spin-offs.
Gotcha.
Which I have played a lot of, and I love all of them.
Gotcha. That's some good context going into it, because I know for you, Chance, maybe it's the opposite. Like I know maybe you're not as familiar or you don't play as many of the Musou games, but you're a huge Tears of the Kingdom fan. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I love Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like Tears of the Kingdom is my favorite game of all time.
Hell yeah.
And I've put in over 1,000 hours into it across 2 profiles and like 7 playthroughs.
Wow.
Because like I would like to do a speed run of it at some point.
Right. Yeah, you probably could at this point with all the knowledge you've accrued. That's pretty cool. So what do you think about Age of Imprisonment so far? Like, is it scratching the kind of narrative itch for you? Like, what do you think of the gameplay? What are your overall thoughts?
I feel like I like the game and everything. I'm having fun with it. Like in some parts more than others. Usually it depends on what characters that I'm playing, because there are some that I just prefer their game, like their style more than like other characters, how they perform and everything for the gameplay. For me, I feel like the gameplay itself is an obstacle for me to overcome to be rewarded with cutscenes and stuff, just because I want to see like, the details and the nitty gritty for Tears of the Kingdom and everything.
Right.
I do really like the game and everything.
Hell yeah. Well, that's great. We've got kind of like 2 different facets of enjoyment of this game right here on the podcast. So that's really great. I'm really glad to hear that, actually. Yeah, I'm probably somewhere between y'all. Like, I think that, I'm enjoying the story quite a bit on this game from what I've played so far. There's still, again, I'm still pretty early, but that said, there are a lot of cutscenes in this game.
Yes.
Like I'm only, like a few hours into the game, and I feel like there's already been like 35 minutes of cutscenes or something like that. And
I do think the first few hours are the most cutscene heavy.
Okay, right.
Really try to,
I was gonna say, definitely in the beginning it's cutscene heavy. Like it, definitely chills out a bit when you get like maybe in at like the 6-hour mark or something like that.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I also am a Musou fan, but I'm not a diehard, right? I mean, I feel like it's definitely clear that a lot of these games like are pretty similar in their gameplay loops, right? I think they found a formula, Koei Tecmo, that works well, and they have done this a lot. I mean, I remember playing, Dynasty Warriors back in the PS2, like a really long time ago. I loved that game back in the day. But every time I play it, it's like fun. It's like a new Musou game. I'm like, oh, this is fun. It's like reminding me of when I played Dynasty Warriors back on the PS2. You know what I mean? But it's like, there's never anything like too new, but I do think there are some cool things that they've added into this game that really do shake up the formula a little bit. And I've been enjoying, I think, namely, a lot of the Zonai devices are really fun to use. And just the quick swapping out of characters is actually been really, really fun to do. And I really like the way that a lot of the character interactions really kind of play together. So maybe we can start with that, kind of the gameplay and some of our highlights from there. I talked about a couple of them, but if you're not familiar with the Musou genre, I mean, obviously the Warriors games are all about massive battles. That was something that people really wanted out of Age of Calamity, was kind of the battles that were all talked about in that game, like leading up to it. And then people were kind of disappointed in that game, kind of at the end being like, oh, it was all a dream, or it was an alternate timeline or whatever, So I think that kind of rubbed people the wrong way. It is cool to see the imprisoning war that is talked about a lot on this massive scale with all these different characters involved. I'm really enjoying that. And having a bunch of people on screen and just, doing the boss battles while there are little minions everywhere. That formula doesn't really get super old to me. I am having fun with that. But maybe Marth, we can start with you. What are some of the things that you like that this new Warriors game brings to the table that wasn't in some of the older games?
I think they sell it. They sell Ganondorf as a villain that actually works. He's not just this really evil guy who's super powerful. He is this really evil guy who's super powerful and flooding Hyrule with all of his minions that are currently trying to destroy the entire world.
Right.
And they really sell that well with the giant battles. It's not something that would really work in a typical Zelda game. I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it really sets the scene in a way that's a lot better than Tears of the Kingdom could have with just its cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the quick swapping out of characters too. I think that's an interesting way to take the Warriors style gameplay that they had in some of the other spin-offs that I've played. I've seen that the Zelda Hyrule Warriors games and the Fire Emblem Warriors games do things very differently when it comes to the different party members, where the Zelda games want you to keep them all together so that they're stronger when they're fighting together. And the Fire Emblem one wants you to split them up because they can all act independently on their own.
Mm-hmm.
This game feels like it leaned a little too far in sticking all of your party members together because they literally won't do anything else if you're not directly looking at them.
Well, they have the kind of gauge that builds between that partner gauge or whatever, so you can pull off these. What are they called? Joint attacks or something like that?
The sync strikes.
Sync strikes. That's same thing basically. But the sync strikes. You really do need to be like near the people for those to build up at all, and it takes a while for those gauges to fill up sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I think that's how it makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been a lot more upset about the other people that you're not directly controlling not doing anything if that system wasn't in place, because they do help when they're near you, which is good. I think they need that to be the case for the system to work well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. Chance, what about you? Are there any kind of like gameplay elements like in the Muso gameplay that has been sticking out to you as particularly enjoyable?
Yeah, like I love being able to jump between characters, especially if you're all in for one of the Archfiend boss fights and everything. That I can do all of them do their own special moves in a row and everything, and just basically try to obliterate this guy as fast as possible and stuff.
Yeah, I like that. You're talking about the special attacks. That's like the attacks that have a cooldown. Or you hold the R button and then you select it. Yeah, that's a really cool thing. And if you aren't familiar with that, listener, it's basically as a character is charging at you or is up in the air, you can do these kind of break attacks that will end their attack on you. And it's not like a Souls game or something where you've got a really small window. It's actually pretty generous, something that I really like about this game.
It gets a little hard later on. For most of the bosses in the story that you get to fight, it's very generous, and I do. I agree with you.
Well, I have been playing on normal as well, which is basically easy mode. I'm not gonna lie. I have not lost a battle on normal. It seems pretty straightforward. I actually was thinking that I might ratchet up the difficulty a little bit too hard, because it's easy, normal, hard, and very hard, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So at least you've got a little bit of stuff there. But yes, those sync abilities, or excuse me, the special abilities are really, really fun to use.
I want to talk a little more about the special abilities, because I think they're very interesting. They each character having more moves outside of just their move sets is something that I think Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes tried to do with the combat arts system being adapted from Three Houses, but it didn't work super well because everyone could kind of have access to the same ones. But in this one, it's great to have all of these custom animations for all of the characters outside of just their regular moveset. And they just feel good.
It spices it up a little bit too, it really feels more intentional than just mashing buttons, right?
Yes, absolutely. Even in some of the other characters that are less important to the story, the moves they have still feel good. I will say I wish there was a little more variety instead of everyone having the charge attack and the aerial counter attack. They had some defense breaking ones, because all of the units that you get that aren't story relevant characters, all of them have a charging counterattack and a flying monster counterattack, all of them, which is a bit of a shame, but they do still look great and they feel very different.
Yeah, it is satisfying to pull them off pretty much every time. Like it does and the animations are like just short enough and punchy enough to where it doesn't get super old. You know what I mean? Like I really enjoy that aspect of it for sure. Yeah, and I think, when you're in a situation too where you've already used one of your special attacks as one of the characters and it's kind of refreshing and you're in that cooldown time, if then your enemy is like coming at you, you can swap over to a different character and it'll kind of automatically do their special attack, which just again makes the flow feel really good and kind of spices up the gameplay a little bit. I've been enjoying that aspect quite a bit. I know the overworld, so to speak, there isn't really an overworld. It's not an open world game at all, but it does use like the map from Tears of the Kingdom, or like the Purapad, I guess, as here's how you select your levels. It kind of gives the illusion of it being open world, and you can kind of pick in certain, you can pick side quests in any order. You don't have to do all of them or whatever. But I did find that on the map, it was kind of like information overload. I was never really sure, like, what is a battle?
So
what is
worse.
just like me giving away like items that I've accrued? You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, it's not very well laid out, I think. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, my first impression, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
It's too much.
But and now I'm like, I got used to it, like after about like a couple hours. So it's not as like awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not awful, but like it felt awful at first because like, what the hell is going on? I don't know what's what.
Yeah.
Age of Calamity did this too, and it was so bad in that game because there were so many more levels and so many more character specific things you could do.
Right.
Thankfully, there's little shortcuts. Like if you press the R or L button, it takes you over to the like level select and then the
it's more like a list
like,
at that
character
point,
quest
right?
specific.
Yeah.
It's still a bit confusing, but at least there is that option. I will say it's always terrifying when you complete a main story level and then the game just gets into like a 30-second cutscene of 5 billion little icons appearing all over the map.
Yes.
And the little Zonai construct like pointing to the ones you're supposed to go to, and it's like, all right, chill. Yeah, that was a little bit much for me, but no, I think as far as the gameplay, I mean, out of the three, I've played all three Hyrule Warriors games now at this point. Now, granted, we did a whole episode on Age of Calamity, and I kind of forget even playing that game, to be honest. but I will say that this is the best that the gameplay has ever felt for
absolutely
pretty much this whole Warriors franchise. Like, this is a very smooth gameplay experience, and I think it's just fun.
I think
it's the drip feed is working for me. Yeah, Marth.
I think it's the first Koei Tecmo game I've played that is programmed correctly and that functions.
Sure.
It feels good to play, which is almost surprising, but it feels great.
Yeah. I'm liking it quite a bit.
Yeah, like I didn't finish Age of Calamity because it being not canon really took the wind out of my sails and stuff. But so like I barely remember next to nothing about the gameplay itself. So I just like watched the rest of the cutscenes and stuff because the English voice of Master Koga, he completely fucking stole the show. He was so fucking good in awesome. That game. And I'm so glad that they brought back the same voice actor for the Zelda notes to be, Master Koga for,
yes,
for his voice memories and shit. But but like, so this is my first time that I'm actually like going to see through a Hyrule Warriors game.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Like I played a little bit of the first one, but like that was at a friend's place, and I didn't.
I played that back on the
finish
Wii U. That was a lifetime ago. Yeah, and it has since gotten much better ports. But let's talk about then those characters, like you're talking about, and the story. Since we're kind of leading towards that. I mean, we've been sort of dancing around it here, but I think that. This is a canon story, and they talked a lot before it came out that these are the events that lead into Tears of the Kingdom. They were like, we're not doing the Age of Calamity thing again. Like, this is a full canon story. I do think that, if you don't want to know anything about the story, maybe now is the time to tune out a little bit, or maybe come back in like 5-10 minutes or so. But it isn't really the focus of the story is not as much on Zelda as I thought it would be, right? And again, I'm still early on, and I'd love to get y'all's opinions on this, but they introduce a lot of characters into the story, one of which that's this like kind of construct. I'm still in a question mark phase with this character. He doesn't have a name yet, so I don't know exactly what they're calling him at this juncture, but he is essentially a Link stand-in. So I think that was like, I think for me, I was really excited to have another game where Zelda was like very much helming the whole thing, but it felt a little bit like an Echoes of Wisdom sort of situation where it's like, okay, yeah, you can play as Zelda, but also like whenever you want, you can change into like some facsimile of Link. You know what I mean? So I don't know what you guys think about that and what you guys think about sort of the story as a whole, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I feel like for Age of Imprisonment, like, okay, like Tears of the Kingdom's like whole motif was like you're working together and stuff. So, whereas like with Breath of the Wild, there's a lot about isolation and whatnot. It's just you, Link, as like, you know, people trying to bounce back after, you know, basically what is amounts to apocalypse for them and everything, you know, and Tears of the Kingdom is like you finding connections with these other people. And this is like an extension of that. So it's like, it can't just be Zelda. Like
right.
you got to focus on these other characters too. And, because I felt like in Tears of the Kingdom for its cutscenes that like those were very Zelda focused and stuff, you know, because
sure, yeah,
like,
yeah.
You wanted to see what she was actually seeing and whatnot, and what she was experiencing, not so much like exactly through her eyes, but like what was going on around her and stuff, you know, because like I feel like if it was too much from Zelda, it wouldn't be like as immersive as what it is, because like you can't connect with like every single character when you're like focusing as Zelda, you know? So this kind of feels more like you can find what characters you feel, you know, for the most out of all the, you know, this cast of characters. And
sure. And it certainly, I mean, with this kind of game, you really want a lot of characters to be playable, because otherwise the gameplay would get really samey really fast, right? It's a huge part of these games is having a large cast so that you can have varieties in gameplay. But so that's good to hear that it feels pretty fleshed out to you. What about you, Marth? What do you think about the story?
I think the construct really fades into the background after a certain point. I think they're introduced pretty early, and you have like 2 or 3 missions where you play as them, but then they really just become another member of the Hyrulean army. So they're not that important. I still think Zelda is the focus for most of the plot. If not her, then it's Rauru, which makes sense.
Yeah. I do like Rauru quite a bit.
Story-wise.
Yeah.
Yes, I love him. He's such a great character.
He's so good.
I think story, when I started playing this game, I didn't watch any of the trailers because I'm just like that. I don't like watching trailers for games that I know I'm going to buy, and I knew I was going to get this one and play it like crazy when it came out. I was expecting an Age of Calamity situation. And then that cutscene happens and everything goes wrong. And it really set in that this was not a story about these heroes saving the world. It was the story about these heroes failing to save the world. And that really made the whole game feel very interesting to me, because that's not really a story Zelda has told in a way. Of course, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom tell that story, but you're not playing through it. So that was a very interesting realization to make. And I did like Age of Calamity's thing. I like this too. It's very good. It's very interesting.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's good. So you feel like pretty satisfied because you've completed the game, correct?
Yes.
So you've gone through the whole story. Like, do you think that this game actually like fleshes out a lot of like unanswered questions that you had with Tears of the Kingdom?
Absolutely.
That's great. I mean, I think that's what you would,
I was very satisfied.
That's what you would hope,
finishing
you
the
know?
game.
I got the impression when I was playing that they're kind of dancing around some story stuff from Tears of the Kingdom. Like they didn't want to like, they wanted to make this game for people that hadn't played Tears, like, or they wanted this game to be able to be played by people that hadn't played Tears of the Kingdom and people that had. But it's also like, who would be playing this game that hasn't played Tears of the Kingdom?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I was like surprised that they weren't like going super obvious.
These two games are spouses and you have to play both of them. So.
Yeah. Would you agree with all that, Chance?
Yeah, I'd say so.
It's been like satisfying for you, like the story that you're getting out of this game?
Yes. Although I am a little concerned about like like they're not even actually like plot points or anything like that. But I was like, man, I hope they go into like, a couple of two really big mysteries that I wanted to know, like back in Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm like, I don't know how much longer I have to go in the story or anything, but I'm like, I'm worried they're not going to touch on these at all because I'm kind of getting the vibe and stuff. Like, again, like these two things have like absolutely like nothing to do with the story in Tears of the Kingdom or anything and stuff, it's just basically I was like, am I going to hear anything about like Raru and Sonia's kids? Because how else would, like they're, if Zelda's blood related to them, they got to have kids, because like I always got the impression that like, Raru and Sonia were like empty nesters and stuff, like they had kids and they're already like, out of the house or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm getting the vibe that this isn't going to be touched on and stuff, and the other thing was like, I want to know, what are those mysterious statues like in the depths of a race that is not in Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm not seeing it in this game so far either, So I was like, those are two that I was really hoping I'd get some answers for, but like, I don't know, maybe there's still time for them to at least tease about it or what. But those are the two things that I was like, come on, you got to throw me a bone here. I'm dying. But as for the main story, everything is very well like sewn together. Like nothing feels out of place in Age of Imprisonment that like feels like, oh, that wouldn't have happened in, Tears of the Kingdom or whatever and stuff, like basically it really does feel like, oh, that's the missing piece that I was, that felt implied in Tears of the Kingdom and stuff, like plot wise, they've been doing a very good job on that. I feel it's been satisfying seeing, the pieces come together and stuff,
Totally. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I mean, that's good. I mean, does it feel a little bit more like cohesive than the Age of Calamity story, would you say?
Yes.
I think it does for me too.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the characters because, we've obviously talked a little bit about Zelda and Raru here and, this kind of Link stand-in with this Construct character. But in addition to that, we also have like a Korok character. What's the Korok's name? Who's in this?
Calamo.
Okay, hell yeah. So we've got Calmo, and he seems like a fun guy. Like, do you guys like him? Is he like
I really like playing as him, actually.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be insufferable, and he ended up being one of my favorites.
Okay, cool.
Surprisingly interesting and good. He has a very simple concept for a character, but he works really well. He works really well, especially when he's paired with a character like the Construct.
Yeah, that is like his companion. It's like his Korok companion or whatever, right? They're kind of traveling together. What are some of your other favorite characters that you've been able to play as?
I have been really liking the more generic kind of simple soldiers that you get in your playable cast.
Yeah, you do get some like randos.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because to me, the Musou games I've played have been really about giving you this visual representation of the stories you hear about mythological heroes where they strike down thousands of enemies with one swing of their blade, right? And seeing regular people rise up to that level to protect their home and like sticking together and helping each other out is really it's a very nice idea, and I like that a lot. And most of them feel great to play it. They have the same level of polish that the main characters do. It's a little surprising, but they've really been some of my favorite characters to play. I've been liking Lago, who's just a soldier who failed to protect his king, and so he's trying to protect the rest of Hyrule to seek redemption. I think he might be my favorite for that. He's very good, and so are the rest of them.
Honestly, like Raru has been my first favorite to play with, but I love playing as Calamo and stuff. He's very fun to play. Just like I really like how quick he is with like if I'm trying to like dodge movements and stuff like that, and just the shit that he does with various fruits or whatever, like fire fruit stuff or whatever that's called. And I would say for like the little randos that you don't really see in Tears of the Kingdom, like Marth said, I really like Lago. He was very fun to play. Just the Zoro warrior guy, older guy and stuff. And I really love playing as Artie too. She's very fun and cool. And
I will say
like,
she feels a little bit worse than Urbosa, but I don't think that's Artie's fault. I think that's just because Urbosa was way too awesome to ever match.
yeah.
That's fair.
But no, I love her electric kicks and shit like that. It just
Yeah.
very satisfying.
A little thing about Calamo, I thought he was going to be a lot more gimmicky as a character to play, and I didn't like that in Age of Calamity's cast in the original Hyrule Warriors. A lot of the characters felt very gimmicky. The characters that had non-traditional fighting styles or that weren't fighters in their original game, they felt very gimmicky and not super good. This game has maybe one gimmicky character, and she still feels fine. Like Minoru doesn't feel that bad to play.
Is that who
Even
you're going to say?
I really
Minoru,
don't
Minoru is
like-
the gimmicky character?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
Minoru. She's like the most gimmicky, and she still feels fine. I don't like that kind of character, but she feels good.
Yeah.
So
if you're not
pleased.
familiar, Minoru is the Zonai artifact. She had the lab and everything from Tears of the Kingdom, and she very much is the same in this game, where it's like all of her attacks like are utilizing Zonai devices, right? So it's like
Yes.
at first I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of a little overwhelming. She rides the like wheel as she's running forward and all that kind of stuff. But she turned into one of my favorite characters to play as, for sure. I do think a lot of her like combos are really fun, and then her like
I love the spring one. It just sends everyone flying.
yes, she makes a little like
Very
trebuchet sort of situation.
Yeah.
Which I really love that. I love her like finishing move whenever you like break down their armor or whatever, and she just has the thing that just goes with all the thing. It's just always makes me laugh. It's like so quick and fast, and I don't know. I think she's a fun character for sure.
Or the giant fucking like morning star that comes down.
Yeah.
Like just smashes down. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun character as well. But yeah.
She has a surprising amount of her stronger, like more important attacks that revolve around dropping a giant metal steel spike ball on all of the enemies.
Yeah, it really is very ball centric with Minoru. I wonder if there's any Freudian thing to break down in there.
Me too, Minoru.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about how the game like plays as far as just like the performance is concerned, because we've talked about now, the game is a Switch 2 exclusive, and I think this is a great showcase for the Switch 2. I'm like actually really impressed. I know that like resolution wise, you're not hitting, this game is hitting nowhere near 4K. I think it like goes maybe up to 1080p when it's docked on the Switch 2, but it's very clear that they were like, we are focusing on smoothness of the gameplay here. Like it's not always a locked 60 frames per second, but it's like seeing a game with so much going on, with all these magic particle effects, all the people on screen, and just these, these big environments and really good looking graphics. Like I think the art style is working really well. All running at 60 FPS is very impressive. And it's, I don't know, I've been really enjoying that aspect of it. Do you guys have anything to add on that? Like Marth, what do you think about like just this game as a showcase?
I think having played so much Age of Calamity, that game took like a solid, pretty long play sessions that I used to do. That game took a solid 15 to 20 minutes to get used to how rough playing it was because of the 20 FPS frame rate in some of the lower levels. The lighting engine was so horrible compared to Breath of the Wild. The game did not look great. This game looks 10 million times better than that one ever
It just
did.
looks like Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like it's incredible.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it runs even better somehow. I've experienced maybe one or two very minor frame drops when some big thing was happening.
Yeah, but even then, it's like the camera goes into slow motion and you don't even like notice.
I played a bit of co-op on GameShare, and it does cut the frame rate in half from what I can tell, which is okay. It still doesn't feel bad. It still feels fine. But then the game tends to struggle a bit sometimes. It's not major, but sometimes you can see it dropping to like 20 for a few seconds, and then it goes back to normal. But
so when you say you played over GameShare, that mean you played like online, like over game chat?
Yes, online game chat, yes.
Okay, yeah. So I know when I've done that a lot before, it's had like kind of bitrate problems. Does the game look a lot fuzzier whenever you're playing online as well?
I was not the one who was being streamed to, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I didn't get to, from what I hear, it was not perfect, but it was not awful either. It was maybe like watching a Discord stream.
And this is, and when you're playing over GameShare, it is still split screen, correct?
It's not. No, you have
Really?
full screen. Yeah, you see your screen and nothing
wow.
else. It's very immersive. It's surprisingly very, very fun.
Wow.
It's very fun to see your friend playing on their side. Like you can see their character moving around, but you don't see their screen. It's very good.
Man,
it's very
that's
well made.
pretty impressive that they're able to stream the whole game to somebody else that doesn't even have it, and they have their own screen while all that shit is going on. That's pretty impressive. I was not expecting that to be the case. I was hoping to try the online game share before this, but I wasn't able to. So I'm glad that you were able to check in on that. That's actually
I did
cool.
it specifically for the podcast.
Hell yeah. See, that's what I love about you, Marth, is you do your homework. What about you, Chance? Have you been able to play co-op at all? Is this a kind of game that you would ever want to play co-op?
No, I hate playing with other people, to be honest. So I'm pretty much always just like a single player character, like character games and stuff like that.
Right.
Like there's very few instances where I'd want to play with friends, like unless like they specifically asked me, like, yes, I'll do it. But it's like I would, I just like playing things on my own time.
That's funny.
But,
yeah.
Just violently introverted. But the game has been playing absolutely like beautifully for me. Like no drops at all and stuff. Everything's been buttery smooth and stuff. No glitches of any sort. I think the most annoying thing that happens is if a boss pins me in the corner and my camera is like all super close in on something and I can't see what's going on. I'm like, where the hell am I? But
yeah. No, I was really impressed by how polished this game is, to be honest, you know? And I think and I think it's just because I was so used to Age of Calamity being such a mess, you know? I just think that it was like, it really felt like they were like, oh shit, we got to make a Breath of the Wild tie-in. And this one just really feels like they took their time with it. They really like were very intentional about all their design decisions. And it's just like, I'm just really impressed with Nintendo as well for not, you know, Tears of the Kingdom was a huge seller and like they could have put out a crappy performing version of this game, like on Switch 1 and they didn't. And I think that is, I think that's good. I hope to see more of that, you know, where it's just like, okay, if a game isn't going to play well on that system, then hey, when the person eventually
don't even bother
makes their way up to the upgrade to a Switch 2, they'll have that game to play, right? I think that's like a really good trend for them to be following. So I'm really happy with that. Yeah, and it's good to hear the co-op plays well as well. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the co-op experience, game share or no, Marth?
I think the main issue with it that we've been noticing is that using the menus feels really bad because whoever opens the menu has control over the menu exclusively. And then when you press the D-pad right to open your like wheel of all of your items and stuff, it opens it for both players on both screens and it's really confusing. And then you select one, but only the person who opened it actually uses it. And the other person that menu doesn't do anything. It's been very confusing.
Is that the same with the menu for the special moves as well? Or is it just for like item?
No, menus? That works fine. That works completely fine.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I guess that's some kind of holdover. Like I would imagine that the game share version is, it's basically, it's based on the split screen version. It's just expanding the field of view or whatever, right? So yes. I'm sure that would obviously make sense. So it seems. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Well, that's great that it plays really well. I'm really impressed with that. Let's talk about a little bit about the music. I've been enjoying the soundtrack quite a bit. I thought it was going to be a lot of reused themes, and there definitely does seem to be like some reused music, but most of it seems to be original. Am I wrong on that?
I am in heaven.
You like it?
It is amazing. I loved Age of Calamity's soundtrack for playing off of the very classical soundtrack of Breath of the Wild and doing some very grandiose things with it that fit the gameplay quite a bit. This game's soundtrack is really depressing to listen to after beating the game because I keep hearing these weird progressions that aren't as like heroic as they should be. Right. And it plays off of the Age of Calamity soundtrack very, very well. I like this game's soundtrack quite a lot. The tracks that they reuse from Age of Calamity do feel a little bit out of place though. Like the Talus theme that song never made me feel anything in the first place, and it still doesn't here. So I don't know why they bothered bringing those back.
Well, I think it's because of like, Talus, uses the exact same
that's true.
track in Tears of the Kingdom that it does in Breath of the Wild. So it's like, may as well be consistent, like in that regard or something. But
Mhm.
I think the music is pretty decent. Like I like it. I don't like it as much as I like Tears of the Kingdom soundtrack,
Mhm.
but like the music is fun. I find some of them get stuck in my head and everything and stuff when I'm playing it or whatever.
I think my biggest issue with it so far is, weirdly enough, the fact that you don't get to hear the songs for long enough, because you have so many more tools to open up the enemies and open up their weak point gauges. It's constantly playing the weak point gauge theme of every song on loop whenever you're fighting a big enemy, which is very unfortunate. And then as soon as you get to the big boss, who you can't shred as easily, well, their theme starts playing. So,
Right. Yeah, that's been something I found not really related to music, but just like in general is like, I'll find myself like really wanting to work up to like a weak point attack or whatever, and like trying to finish off a character with the biggest, flashiest thing as possible to like put a button on the fight. And then it's always like, I get there and it's like, and then I kill them with just like a normal slash. And I'm like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer. I always want it to end as flashy as possible. You know what I mean? But no, yeah, I've been enjoying the soundtrack as well. And definitely, I think these are some tracks that I would be happy to listen to, like without the context of the game. There's definitely some bangers in
absolutely.
Here. Like you said, it's like a good, because there are so many cutscenes and there is so much gameplay, and those kind of have different vibes as you're going. There's kind of like it's quite a big variety of different musical styles in this game. And then you add onto that the kind of like plinky piano stuff that like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild have been known for. And it's kind of like now we've had like kind of 4 soundtracks that are building on this musical style, and they've gotten really good at actually, I think, putting some of these arrangements together. I've been really impressed by it.
I'll be listening to this soundtrack for quite a while.
Yeah.
I like how they, incorporate, motifs from like, you hear like Mipha's theme and whatnot. And, for levels that you're doing Zora stuff and whatnot. And it kind of like, I like it because it recontextualizes Mipha's theme that like, it doesn't feel like it's Mipha's theme anymore. It feels like this is this whole like Zora lineage's theme.
Right.
Like they do that for like, like Rito Village, theme and whatnot, which like that's just,
it's
Dragon something Island from Wind Waker. And
stuff,
right. Yeah. Like
Dragon Roost.
Yeah, like it just starts feeling like, that specific character's theme, and just like this is this whole lineage like theme and whatnot. Like that's the sound of their people in a way,
Yes. Speaking of Rito Village, as a bit of an aside, I'm a little disappointed we don't get to see the settlements in this early era of Hyrule. We get to see Hyrule Castle, and we get to see kind of what the Gerudo region looks like, but you get to the Zora village and it's already burned to the ground, and the king's been assassinated, and everything's like messy, and it's the same thing everywhere else.
Right.
Which very good for setting the scene, but it's a little unfortunate that we don't get to see those places because of that.
Yeah, I'd say that that's a complaint that I have about the game in general, and maybe that's just kind of a problem with Tears of the Kingdom as well, is that like the because this is a long time ago. This is like ancient Hyrule, right? And it just looks a lot like modern Hyrule that you're playing in, right? And I think that it'd be cool if there was like a little bit more visual distinction, or maybe you got to explore a little bit of like what it really looked like, eons ago. But I do understand that it's like when you're selling the game and when you're playing the game, especially a spin-off like this, you want to see stuff that you recognize. And I think, and again, the game looks amazing. So I'm happy with how it is, but I do think that both Tears of the Kingdom and this game had a little bit of a missed opportunity of just like what they could have done as far as like visually telling the story of like, oh, this is a very, very long time ago, right?
Yeah, I felt like I got like a better sense of the surroundings and like the really early like cutscenes and like Tears of the Kingdom and stuff. But then like most of after that is just like, oh, you're inside buildings and whatnot, and like I was hoping this game would allow me to see more of like the actual surroundings and stuff. But like I understand why, just because like it's just the nature of this game that like you're on set tight maps and whatnot, and your goal is to not explore around and everything. You got to go out there and kill shit. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, it's a more singular kind of vision, or at least style of gameplay than you get with the other stuff. So it all comes out in the wash, I think. And I've been really enjoying this. Well, I think we'll probably head towards wrapping this up. I'd like to give both of you, though, an opportunity to say anything that you want about this game before we wrap it up. Chance, maybe we start with you.
Yeah, like overall the game is beautiful and whatnot. I don't think it's like as beautiful as like Tears of the Kingdom and stuff, because like the animation is a little janky in some parts, but I think it's because they have to sacrifice some things like jiggle physics and stuff, like just soft body physics, and stuff. Because I found it very noticeable, like after like you kill a Frox or whatever, that is just kind of like it feels very chunky and not as like well animated.
Yeah,
it's like, as like it is in Tears of the Kingdom and stuff. Like it doesn't feel as much of like an actual animal as it did like in the main game and stuff.
Sure.
But like however like the main performances for like the important characters or whatever, they're basically on par with how they were in Tears of the Kingdom and everything. Some other things that kind of bothered me was I feel like in the cutscenes that like the rendering or whatever, just like I don't know, something with like the lighting just feels a little bit off. Like it feels like for Tears of the Kingdom's characters or whatever, the models are well defined and everything, but for a lot of the character models in this game, they rely a lot on like hand painted textures and whatnot, and it's kind of noticeable on some character models. I feel like
the cutscenes themselves too they're all pre-rendered cutscenes, which I think is a shame.
Yeah.
And it's like, because the game will look amazing running at 60 FPS. It'll look so clear and crisp. And then it goes to this like compressed 30 FPS like cutscene. And it's like, I think a lot of these that we're watching, especially the dialogue scenes, like you could have done an engine, you didn't have to, because it's a big game too. I think it's like 45 gigs or something ridiculous.
Is it seriously that big?
Yeah, it's very
40 gigabytes.
Yeah. And
oh my God.
I think a lot of that
Tears of the Kingdom is 16 gigabytes.
Yes.
So,
and I think a lot of that is like
insane.
the pre-rendered videos that they have just like baked in here.
Yeah.
I think if they'd done them in engine, it would have saved a lot of space and looked a lot better, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, like 100%. The actual in-game, like the in-game stuff looks leagues better than the cutscenes.
Totally.
It's interesting to be at that point in Nintendo's console life where the in-engine stuff looks better than the cutscenes. That's just a weird complaint I've had. It's so weird to have every time you do anything. Like I have 2 videos saved to my Switch of Rauru doing his finishing attack on one of the Archfiends, and it cuts to white, and it's just the Archfiend reeling back and like jarring frame rate change.
Yeah,
totally.
I think this game, they really the cutscenes do suffer a little. About what you said with the lighting, I think it looks great most of the time in the cutscenes. There's a few of them where I was raising my eyebrow. I think the most vivid image in my head is Queen Sonia looking very weird, like she's only the color of her hair and the color of her skin, and like that's it. There's nothing else going on there. I don't know what cutscene that was, but I remember that image, and it's a little strange that they wouldn't put more care in the pre-rendered cutscenes that they wanted to have, which didn't even need to be there in the first place.
Yeah, it's been a little odd, but I think overall I quite like this game. I think I would recommend this game, I think like I don't know that I would have recommended Age of Calamity to most people, but I think that even if you're not a Muso fan, I think that you could enjoy this game just as a Tears of the Kingdom fan. And if you aren't really a Tears of the Kingdom fan, I think this is one of the best Muso games I've ever played. So I think it's like, I think I would recommend this to most people, especially if you're looking for like a new shiny game on your Switch too. Like, this is a good one to play, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
And did you have any kind of closing thoughts, Marth?
I am bummed about the difficulty modes. They've never felt great in the games I've played, the Warrior games I've played. It's just kind of makes all of the enemies super overleveled, or it makes them super tanky. This game, I think, is the worst offender because on hard mode, when you hold down the trigger to use the like bumper or whatever to use your abilities, it does not slow down time anymore. So you just get less time to think, which is fine, but not great. It's just a little annoying. And there's a bunch of changes like that. Like I think the abilities have longer cooldowns for some reason. So it's just less fun to use them. I feel like the way to make the game harder is not to take away the player's tools, but to make the enemies have more or to make them stronger.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's been a little hard to have to go play normal mode instead of hard mode because I don't want to deal with that on my first playthrough.
Yeah. I feel you. Well, I think even with all that out of the way, I'm impressed, man. I'm surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think this is a perfect companion piece. Like, I'm not even done with the game yet, and I think it's a perfect companion piece to Tears of the Kingdom that I really do feel like you can't play one game and not play the other and stuff because of it and everything.
Yeah.
Like, and because at first I remember I was like, I was so disappointed, like, oh, there's not going to be any Tears of the Kingdom DLC. Are we just going to be fucked and like not know anything, that happened and stuff, And they're like, oh yeah, it's because they were making a whole other fucking game.
Yeah.
And stuff, But yeah, I'm very happy with the game so far, even if I'm a little like disappointed with like lack of some like little side mysteries, or like, again, I'm not done. I don't know. Maybe they'll,
something tells me this is not going to be the last time we see this form of Hyrule. We've now had 4 games in this Hyrule, and I don't necessarily want the next mainline Zelda game to be in this same timeline again. But I do think that like between the movie coming out and maybe a manga, maybe they do some other game spinoff, I feel like we'll be coming back into this version of Hyrule because I think there's a lot of mysteries still to be seen and a lot of gameplay.
I don't even think it needs to even be this Hyrule, but it can be the same world, like another like in Tears of the Kingdom, Sidon's wife Yona, like she is from not Hyrule, she's from another place in the world and stuff, with the head Zora and everything. It's like I'd be more than thrilled if they went somewhere else on the planet, so to speak.
Can I say one last thing?
Yes.
On the topic of DLC, I do hope this game does get DLC. Having that empty slot in the roster where Sonia's supposed to be is really sad, both from a story and also gameplay perspective.
I wish I could play as Sonia. That's weird. Yeah.
I was excited to play as her. I really liked her in Tears of the Kingdom. She was one of the few characters.
Well, she's around. She's in all the fights too. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, she's there. She has unique sync strikes with like Raru and Zelda, but she's never playable. And it's so strange. And I hope they bring her back. And I hope that they give us just more content. Yeah. Because Age of Calamity had a lot of content post-game. Having beaten the game, there is not as much of that. There's not much going on. It's just very quiet, very gameplay-oriented stuff where I think Age of Calamity had a lot of those like side battles that had story happen in between. I remember one of them where you play as Ganon and his minions, and you have to take over Hyrule Castle, and that was really fun. So I hope they give us some of that in some potential future DLC.
Hell yeah. It does not have to be paid, Nintendo. You can put this one out for free.
That's
all
true.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I think that is going to do it for our main topic here, talking all about Age of Imprisonment. Great game. Definitely worth playing.
Yes.
What do you think, listener? Do you have any opinions on the game? Has it shot up your list on want to play, or have you been playing the game? We would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment down below on the YouTube version of this podcast, or shout us out on social media or Discord. But in the meantime, we're going to take a small break, and we're going to move on to the last segment of the show, which is the games we're playing recently. So I mostly been playing Age of Imprisonment and obviously the Kirby Air Riders Direct, as we talked about before. But I have also been playing a couple new games, one of which I got a code for, a review code, and that is for a game called Thrasher. This is from the developer of Thumper, which was a really cool kind of like existential rhythm game that I think was a VR game, but eventually did have a Switch version created. And this is a sequel to that game, but it's a very different kind of gameplay style. And this is also a VR game, but I've been playing it flat. I've been playing it on my Steam Deck. And the gameplay here is like, these different objects will kind of pop up on the screen, and you with your cursor or with like the right stick, you control this like wispy dragon demon sort of thing, and you're going through each of them. It's a very flashy game, very colorful, has an amazing soundtrack, just like Thumper did. I've been really enjoying Thrasher quite a bit. This one's kind of flying under the radar right now, but I think especially if you have like a MetaQuest or something like that, or a VR headset, this would be a really great game to play. But I'm enjoying it just as well as I would be in 2D. So yeah. Thrasher is really great. I really recommend that game. And then another one that I found on Blue Sky, I forget who it was who posted about it, but this game is right up my alley. It is called Singo Breaker, Singo Breaker. It's basically Signal Breaker. And in it, it's like a kind of a Tetris style not really Tetris, but like, these like puzzle games that are kind of speed based. It's very much like that. It's really hard to describe, but you are moving these panels around that are like crosswalk signals basically, and you're trying to match up the red stop signals that you would see in Japan with the blue walking signals that you would see in Japan. And whenever those go together, they break and they explode. And it's this like really satisfying puzzle game that I've been really, really enjoying. This one's on Steam right now currently. I don't know if it's coming to Switch, but it absolutely would feel right at home on Switch. I think both of these games are pretty cheap, so they're worth checking out. So I would definitely say, yeah, check out Thrasher and Singo Breaker. Those are some of the ones that I've been really enjoying. But what about you, Marth? What have you been playing recently?
I've been playing so much Monster Hunter. I have been getting so deep into all of the Monster Hunter games. I've been playing a lot of the old ones. Right now, I think I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter Tri, which is so good. It's just so good. It's a very small game. It's not one of the like upgraded versions, so it's very basic, has a very small roster of monsters, but its whole gimmick is that you can go fight underwater, which works really well with the general gameplay of Monster Hunter. So I've been having a ton of fun playing that one. I've also been playing a lot of Fire Emblem, Shadows of Valentia, which is my favorite Fire Emblem game to just replay. I've been streaming it on Twitch, actually, with some friends sometimes. So, I'd be happy if anyone wanted to stop by. It's just a great game. I play it almost every year. Outside of that, it's been mostly Pokemon, and then more recently, Age of Imprisonment, which I've been loving.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to check out one of those streams sometimes. What about you, Chance? Other than Age of Imprisonment, have you been playing anything?
Yeah, I've been playing Pokemon Legends ZA, although I hit like the 80-hour mark in that game, and I started getting a little bored with the
loop,
the lack of variety and stuff for environment-wise and music-wise. And I was like, okay, I gotta take a break and stuff. But the gameplay itself is fun. It's no Legends Arceus, but it's still pretty decent. But
yeah, I've been saying I think it's like the ultimate Pokemon game is like a combination of like Arceus, this, and the most recent, Scarlet and Violet. I think it's like the open world of that with the exploration of Arceus and the kind of battle style and loop of this game. I think, that would be such a great thing if they could kind of combine all three of those.
I love Legends Arceus. That is still like my favorite modern Pokemon game.
Yeah, Pokemon Monster Hunter. And,
yeah.
That's true. I didn't actually think of it that way. That's true.
And aside from that, I recently bought a new Nintendo 2DS XL because I missed out on it, and I wanted to get one while they're still lower before they jump up in price again.
Yeah.
Because like I have a 3DS XL and everything, and a DS Lite, and I still play those. And I wanted to do another playthrough of Pokemon Sun and Ultra Sun, except I wanted to do it without frame drops and stuff. So because Pokemon Sun is like my aside from Legend Arceus, that's my favorite Pokemon game of all time. So
very cool.
Wanted to play.
Yeah, I just ordered one of those AYM Thors, so I've been checking my shipping every day to see when that comes in. The kind of like dual screen emulator that can play 3DS games. So I'm excited to play some of these games upscaled as well. So maybe I'll join you on your DS adventures coming up pretty soon. But I think with all that out of the way, that's gonna do it for the show. What a great time. It was so good to have you, Marth and Chance. Both of you, thank you so much for joining on today's episode. Such a delight. I'd love to have both of you back on again sometime very soon. Thanks very much to MilkyWay.co for making our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. Thanks to all of our patrons on Patreon. And if you'd like to find me online, I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Chance? Where can people find you online?
I'm at itskoob.move on Blue Sky, just itskoob.mov. And that's pretty much it.
Very cool. What about you, Marth? Where can people find you online?
I'm only on Blue Sky and Twitch. On Blue Sky, I am Calamarth. And on Twitch, I am BB Incorporated, but with a K because we play Splatoon all the time. So it's like,
hell yeah.
We're very funny.
Yeah, whenever a new Splatfest, we got to play if they redo any of them. And definitely, whenever Splatoon 4 drops, Marth, Oh boy, it's going to be over for us, I think.
Yes.
I can't wait. I love Splatoon so much. Anyway, if you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Blue Sky and Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We have a website, switchheadz.com. And then, like I said before, we have a Discord, a Facebook group, and a Patreon. We'd love it if you could chuck in a buck over there on the Patreon. Join us on the Discord. It's such a wonderful community. That's how I know you, Marth. It's been really great to get to know you and now to have you on the show. So if you want to join the Discord friend to podcast co-host pipeline, you're seeing it in action right here. And then also, like we said before, we have a YouTube version of the show as well. We would love it if you could like and subscribe over there, leave a comment for us, leave a review on Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends about the show. We would love all of that. But yeah, that's going to do it. We've got another great episode for you guys next week. But until then, you guys know the deal. Stay safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Buy Age of Imprisonment. It's surprisingly good. Fuck ICE. Free Palestine. We love you very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.